Bianca Belair, what are going to be the plans for her for WrestleMania 40? It's a big question out there, and a lot of people seem to think that we are headed towards another potential dream match with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill after, of course, Jade made her debut with WWE last year, made her most impressive debut at the Royal Rumble, where she was, again, very, very impressive inside the Women's Rumble, but ultimately did not win. Are we going to get that showdown between Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair this year at WrestleMania? I've been thinking about this, and I think that seems to be the popular thought, is that they're somehow going to find a way to put these two together this year. But I'm going to give you a reason why that may not happen. And it kind of goes back to some interviews for both of these two, actually, last year when Jade Cargill did make her debut in WWE after her run with AEW. So we're going to go back, first of all, to Jade. She had an interview last September, and I'm going to give you kind of the quotes here. They were transcribed by Fightful, and I'm going to pull them up on the screen. So here's what Jade had to say last September. This was late September. And talking about Bianca Belair. Quote, "It's definitely a WrestleMania main event. That is something that will have people glued to the television screen, something that will have people buying out stadiums. That's a dream match. People will show up and show out for that one." Okay, so she makes some good points there, right? It's a WrestleMania main event, so a lot of people would see it that way. A situation where if you put these two in the ring together for the first time, that would be huge. It would be a huge main event situation, and maybe it's not putting them in the ring together for the first time necessarily. Maybe they have other matches together, but in building it up, you feel like this is the kind of match you can build up into a WrestleMania main event caliber match. Is Jade there yet? Is this the year to do it? I think those are fair questions, but we'll continue that in just a second. Let's give you some thoughts from Bianca Belair, who also did an interview last October, and this one's a little bit longer, and I'm not going to read the full thing. I'm just going to read part of this here because I think this is kind of the important part. So Bianca said, quote, "I used to get questions about facing Jade before she even came to WWE, and I would always say, well, everybody wants what they can have, but now it's a possibility. It's very exciting. I feel like everybody's talking about Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill. I think that would be a WrestleMania caliber match, but also, too, a tag team. There are so many possibilities, so I'm very excited for it. I think it's amazing the way she's been able to make a name for herself and the hype that she's been able to build about herself before even having a match." So we're just going to stop it there because, again, this was before Jade, came in and was part of the Royal Rumble. But I think there is something in there to me that it offers an interesting dynamic here, in that if you don't do the Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill match this year at WrestleMania, because if you do think that's a WrestleMania caliber match, or taking it further, like Jade may have said, a WrestleMania main event caliber match, I don't know that you want to necessarily blow through that one right now. I think that's one you could save for the future. And of course, you're always banking on risk if someone gets injured, all this other stuff. Where's everyone at a year from now, right? I get it. But this is kind of one where I think, is Jade to the point yet? And I think this is fair to wonder. Is she to the point yet to where she's ready to have a WrestleMania caliber match in a singles match, or even a WrestleMania main event caliber match, which, let's also point this out, if they want to have a WrestleMania main event match, it's not going to happen this year. Because if we assume, and as of right now, all we're doing is assuming, and keep in mind, I'm recording this before the February 16th edition of WWE SmackDown. So if you're watching this after, we may already know that something's going to take place that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about here. But if we think Jade's going to wind up on SmackDown, and we also think that Jade and Bianca are going to be paired some way, somehow, we are assuming right now that the night one main event for WrestleMania 40 is going to be The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes in a tag team match. But we'll find out if that's the case. Maybe something changes, maybe it doesn't. Maybe there's a slot that's still available. But this wouldn't be a title match. And so they're not going to put Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill on the main event of night one, even if that tag team match doesn't happen. It's going to either be Becky versus Rhea Ripley, or would likely, either a Bayley versus Io Sky, something like that, or maybe it is, the World Heavyweight Championship match, Seth Rollins versus to be determined. So would it just be another match on the card if you did it this year? That's what, to me, is why maybe I could see WWE saying, we're going to hold off on this, because we don't want this to feel like it's just another match in a year where The Rock is back, right? You've got The Rock coming back. You've already got 2 big women's title matches that you're building up. This isn't for a championship. And so this match would, obviously not to all of the audience, but in the way they would sort of push it as, all these different matches, I don't know. Could they really push this match the way they want to push it, knowing that they've got all these other matches that have been built up for a much longer period of time, right? Like we started building up Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley at the WrestleMania 40 kickoff event last week. And, Bianca had some comments about trying to make history at WrestleMania again and how she was going to have to basically, it's a different path for her this time because she's not a champion or she's not challenging for a singles championship, which is still in play because she is at part of the Elimination Chamber match in Perth next week, as she will be in there. And again, all we know right now as we're recording this, Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan. There were some reports out there that suggested that Jade Cargill was going to be part of that match. Now, since then, it looks like that may change or have changed already, and she may not be part of the match. So there's lots of stuff that's in the air here, okay? So we're having fun with ideas on how maybe we get to a Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill match. And one suggestion that I think is on the table, and I've seen other people talk about this, if you decide, all right, this match would get lost in the shuffle this year, although I don't know it would get completely lost in the shuffle. They could do a good enough job of building it up just based on the tease you had in the Royal Rumble with the 2. The fans clearly want it, all those things. But do you want it competing with all these other matches that you're trying to build up? Or do you want it to be one of the featured attractions, a main event level type match? And maybe it's just not this year. Maybe it's next year. Maybe it's at a SummerSlam. Maybe it's something like that. But so the other suggestion is this. Do you instead go with what Bianca Belair said in that interview about how there's all sorts of possibilities, including a tag team? Is that something that they should consider, perhaps, rather than putting Bianca on one side, Jade on the other right away? Because let's call it what it is, too. I think there are fans that are going to want to cheer Jade. Like, they're not going to want to boo her. Even if they were going to present her as a heel or anything like this, maybe initially in some of those, kind of initial appearances, I just think people are going to want to cheer Jade Cargill right now. I don't think they're going to want to boo her. And so, do you put the 2 together as a tag team? Do you have them be the ones that challenge Asuka and Kairi Sane for the tag team championships at WrestleMania 40? Is that a match that you could potentially do? Does that make more sense than doing the one-on-one match this year where it's maybe third on the card or something, right? Versus in a main event slot or one of the top 3 kind of featured pushed attractions. And without it having a title, to me, it's hard to put that over the 2 matches that have the titles, right? If you're doing Bianca versus Jade, sure, it can be billed as a dream match, but they're still, I think, going to want to give all the attention to the 2 singles title matches with Becky and Rhea Ripley. Again, just prediction here. I think that's what we're getting. And then Bayley and Io Sky, we know is for sure a match. And so that would be my only thing. But they did put Bianca at that WrestleMania 40 kickoff event. Keep that in mind. Bayley was not there. They put Bianca there. And, there was no interaction with Jade. There was no mention of Jade. But she did say how she's made history and the potential of going another direction, right? And so maybe that is doing something that we just have not seen from Bianca, and that's putting her in a tag team with Jade. You form those 2 together. They form this super team of sorts. And then, of course, we all know what happens anytime you form a tag team. You got to break up. And so you get to the breakup at some point in the future. They can have matches. You can put Jade in matches where she's working with Bianca. She doesn't have to have all the pressure on her in a singles spot necessarily. Maybe they don't know if she's there just yet to be. And look, the Royal Rumble's different, right? That's a different match. And so you don't have to have Jade in there, all alone, doing singles moves, carrying the match, all that. Like, you've got ways to structure it. You can also do that with tag team matches. And so having her work a long period of time with Bianca Belair in a tag team where she's not in the ring the entire time, maybe that's another way you can build her skills up to where they feel like, all right, we're getting there, we're almost there, boom, we're there, WrestleMania 41, wherever, here's the match. We're getting to it. Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill, because the people are going to want it. Whether it's this year or next year, I think people are still going to want it. Of course, you have to book people right. You can't just completely, turn them into an afterthought, which they're not going to do if it's Bianca and Jade, especially if they go the tag team route. So I'm curious to see what you guys think. Do you think that that would be a fun option for WWE to explore, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill as a tag team to start off with? Or should they go ahead and do the match? Do you think they should go ahead and just, boom, let's go. Let's do this match this year. Let's see what it's got. I think it's an interesting scenario for WWE here, and we'll find out, again, probably on this week's SmackDown, maybe beyond, and whether or not Jade gets added to that chamber match, whether she gets involved somehow, some way, and is that a scenario that happens? Because remember, Bianca does have history with damage control, even though it's a different version now without Bayley, but she does have history there. So you could carry that over, build up to the match, and, put them in there with Asuka, right? Like, Asuka's a great worker, all that, and so you can, Kyrie's saying too, like, you could put a lot of fun possibilities, and that would be a great match, I think, if you did the tag team match at WrestleMania 40. And you can still build it up the right way. It's just you're building up Jade and Bianca as a tag team, knowing that eventually you're going to get to tease that breakup. And, the crowd's going to explode, no matter whether it's Bianca turning on Jade, Jade turning on Bianca, either way. So let me know what you guys think about this situation. Bianca Belair, who's she going to face at WrestleMania 40? Will it be Jade, or will it be a tag team, or will it just be, hey, maybe the two are doing something else completely and then they don't get together until after that? Let me know what you think. Hit that subscribe button. New channel here, Wrestling Reaction. We love talking wrestling and love the feedback from you guys and interactions and all that stuff. So appreciate you watching. Let me know what you think about a potential super team between Bianca Belair and Jade